to Veterans Day at the 2014 Iowa State Fair. This is a great day. But I'll tell you what, the weather guy really, or weather gal, certainly cooperated. This is absolutely superb weather for the fair and for the parade today. And this is our opportunity to salute and thank our veterans here at the Iowa State Fair. So we're glad all of you are here today to help us salute the veterans. I'm retired Colonel Robert King. I'm the Executive Director of the Iowa Department of Veterans Affairs. I'm a retired 36-year veteran of the Iowa National Guard, and was absolutely honored and thrilled to get Governor Branstad's phone call about a year ago, asked me to come and be with the department. So, Governor, thank you, and thank you again to all of you for being out here for this opportunity to thank our Iowa veterans and the many veterans from other states that are here with us today at the Iowa State Fair, and remember them for their service, and also remember those that didn't come home. The parade's an interesting item at the Iowa State Fair. This is my 25th year of doing this. The parade stays much the same, but it always changes. And what doesn't change is the audience that's along the Grand Concourse here to watch the parade come down and thank the veterans and express their appreciation. So if you see a veteran today walking around, they're pretty visible. There's a lot of t-shirts, a lot of caps. Thank them for their service. And also I ask you to please remember the guardsmen and the reservists that are continue to be mobilized, and the many that are serving on active duty around the world. We ask you to keep them in the thoughts and prayers. They're all working very, very hard to keep America safe. I also want to extend a big thank you to Mr. Gary Slater and the entire Iowa State Fair Board and the staff for making this possible today. It's at the air invite that we're here to do this. Also a big thank you to Tanya Cook, the Fair Special Projects Coordinator. She's the one that I work with, and it's a treat. She just asks for things, and she says, okay, here it is. So with that, I'd like to introduce those that are on the reviewing stand this morning. The Honorable Terry E. Branstad, Governor of the great state of Iowa and Commander-in-Chief of the Iowa National Guard. Brigadier General Stephen Altman, Deputy Adjutant General Maneuver, Iowa Army National Guard. Ms. Terry Beer, Director, United States Department of Veterans Affairs Regional Office, Des Moines. Ms. Judith Johnson Lakota, Director, United States Department of Veterans Affairs Medical Center, Des Moines. Colonel David Elwell, Deputy Commanding General, 103rd Expeditionary Support Command, United States Army Reserve. Chief Warrant Officer 5, Douglas Wyberny, Command Chief Warrant Officer, Iowa Army National Guard. Chief Warrant Officer 4, Scott Munson, Command Chief Warrant Officer, 103rd Expeditionary Support Command. Command Sergeant Major Rachel Fales, Command Sergeant Major, Iowa Army National Guard. Command Chief Master Sergeant Tim Cochran, Command Chief Master Sergeant, 132nd Fighter Wing, Iowa Air Guard. First Sergeant Sean Leake, Instructor Team, First Sergeant, Company E, 2nd Battalion, 24th Marine Division. Our State Fair Queen, Elizabeth Glover from Clay County in Spencer. Elizabeth will be a senior at Spencer High School here in a few days. She reminded me to tell all of you about the Clay County Fair, which is the 6th to the 14th of September. And I'm not sure how Elizabeth has time to be the Fair Queen, because I asked her what she does at school and in the community. Plays volleyball, runs track, plays soccer, is involved in the band, the chorus, and drama. Busy. Sitting next to her is Mrs. Jean Mao. Jean's husband, Kendall, has been a part of this parade for as long as I've been involved in it. He served on active duty in the Navy during World War II. He came home and continued to support and be involved in his community. Kendall died last winter. And I just thought it was appropriate to have Jean be here today. Kendall was on the committee that created the World War II memorial at the Capitol. He's done a lot of other great things in this community, and we just thank him very much and remember him. I want to introduce the members of the Iowa Commission of Veterans Affairs. Richard Goebel, New Vienna, the chair. Richard here. Colonel Monica Blakely, from Granger, the first vice chair. Brigadier General Bill Wallace, retired from Ankeny, second vice chair. Kate Myers from Greninger. John Willey. Dan Gannon from Ankeny. Commander Larry Spencer, retired, West Des Moines. Mickey Williams from Harland. Elizabeth Ledvina from Toledo. And last but not least, the people that invite us here and host this great day at the Iowa State Fair is Mr. Gary Slater, the Chief Executive Officer and Manager of the Iowa State Fair. The board members are Board President Alan Brown from Hampton, Board Vice President James Romer from Ames, Gary McConnell from Bloomfield, John Harms from Monticello, the Treasurer, Bill Newbrand from Lamars, Dave Hoffman from Lamars, C.W. Thomas from Guthrie Center, Gary Van Arnen from Exira, Paul Bosson from Dubuque, Randy Brown, Osceola, Jerry Parkin, Earlham, Bob Schlutz, Columbus Junction, and the other directors by virtue of their office are the Honorable Terry Branstad, Governor of Iowa, the Honorable Bill Northey, the Director of the Iowa Department of Agriculture and Land Stewardship, and Dr. Stephen Leith, the President of Iowa State University. And back here someplace is my wife Joy, but she ran away, so, oh well. So, here we go. There's two very special groups that we want to bring out onto the street before we start. And the first of those is our veteran and those that are currently serving. So if you were a veteran, we'd like to have you please stand out or step out into the middle of the grand concourse and be recognized. Veterans, move out. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your service. Thanks for being here today to be recognized. We're very thankful to all of you for what you've done, and we welcome you home. With that, we start the parade. Since 9/11, over 17,000 members of the Guard and Reserve from Iowa have been deployed overseas and served on federal active duty. The first sergeant of the Color Guard is Sergeant First Class Peter Moeller from the headquarters Iowa National Guard. He runs the Iowa Funerals Honor Team. Other members are Sergeant Aaron Ring, Iowa National Guard, Sergeant Devin Hildebrand, Iowa National Guard, Corporal Giannis Reinholdsen, United States Marine Corps, Petty Officer Third Class Christine Macy, United States Navy, Seaman Jason King, United States Coast Guard, Seaman Tyler Wells, United States Coast Guard, and Technical Sergeant Randy Reinertson, United States Air Force. Following behind them is the prisoner of war missing in action banner carried by Sergeant First Class Daniel McGuire from the Iowa Army National Guard, and with him is Sergeant Jeffrey Niehaus, also from the Iowa Guard. The riderless horse brings attention to the thousands of men and women who've given their lives for our freedom. The horse's name is Blondie, and she's no stranger to the fair. She's a Palomino quarter horse, owned by Sergeant Mark Wiedenhoff of Midburn. Mark's a former member of Troop B, 1st Squadron, 113th Cavalry, Iowa Guard, and Mark served on a peacekeeping mission in Kosovo. And as I said, he and Blondie have been here a number of times. They participate in a lot of send-off and homecoming ceremonies, and we're very, very happy they're here with us this morning. year, the Iowa State Fair conducts the annual contest to select talented singers to perform the national anthem each day during the fair. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Brittany Cumming, who won the contest and is here with us today. She's going to go to DMAC in Ankeny this year, and her interest is in early childhood development. Good for you, Brittany. So Brittany, please come forward and sing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
All right. Thank you very much, Brittany. The next group carrying the garrison flag is the young cadets representing a number of Central Iowa high schools. They're the Central Iowa Red Bull Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps from Central Campus, Des Moines. Retired Colonel Ron Bennett and First Sergeant Steve Cockrell are the principal instructors. They do a great job with the kids. I'm very familiar with them. Thank you very, very much. And also want to thank Stu Hansen, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram of Urbandale for providing one of their flags for the parade. And following behind them is the Iowa Army National Guard's 34th Army Band from Fairfield, commanded by Chief Warrant Officer Ken Wesseling, an Eagle Road Kent's High School Band Director, 52 members from all over the state and surrounding states. They do a great job representing the Iowa Guard and state of Iowa. And they'll be doing a concert this afternoon at 1:30 at the Stadium for the Singers Stage. The first color guard is for the Royal Iowa Veterans. Third War Post 2099. Rob Eller is the post commander. Following behind them is the color guard and unit members from VFW Post 839 from Marshalltown. Jeff Hyden is the commander of that organization. Following behind them, the next color guard is Lieutenant Julius Schreier, American Legion Post 540 from Durant. Richard Stoltenberg's the post commander. Ladies and gentlemen, this color guard was the American Legion State Color Guard Champion in 98, 2005, 07, 12, 13, and 14. Congratulations. Following behind them is American Legion Post 663 from Urbandale, retired Iowa National Guard Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Starks, commander. Following behind them is the Oskaloosa Honor Guard from Veterans of Foreign War Post 2237 and American Legion Post 34. Roy Everett is a Desert Storm veteran and the post commander. Welcome. And the marching unit is from the 103rd Expeditionary Support Command of the United States Army Reserve. Colonel Promotable Jonathan McCullum, who isn't here with us this morning, is the incoming commander. He replaces Brigadier General Alan DeBlick, who has been reassigned to Kaiserslautern. And here come the Grand Marshals. First Grand Marshal, and I might point out that we're in the commemorative period for the anniversary of the Vietnam War, and so this morning all of our Grand Marshals are Vietnam veterans. In car one is Army Platoon Sergeant Bill Campbell and his wife Jeanette of Mineola. Bill served with the 1st and 52nd Infantry Battalion with the 198th Infantry Brigade. Volunteered for active duty after 2 years of service and served from 98 to 70 in the I Corps region. Recipient of Purple Heart and 2 Bronze Stars, and both of his sons have served in the Army in Afghanistan. And the next car is Marine First Lieutenant Stephen Cox from Ankeny. Steve was the commanding officer of Oscar Company, 3rd Motor Transportation Company, 3rd Marine Division in 1969 in the Quang Tri region, east and west in DMZ. And he is also the state commander of the Patriot Riders, so continuing to serve. Next car is one of our commissioners from the Veterans Affairs Commission, retired Commander Larry Spencer from West Des Moines. Larry graduated from Parsons, joined the Navy to be a pilot, ended up being a radar intercept officer in F4, flew off the Ranger and Enterprise, and has one more good takeoff to landing. Larry's airplane, he was in the back of the F4, was shot down on the 18th of February of 1966, taken prisoner, was on the first plane that came home with Admiral Stockdale on the 12th of February 1973. 2,552 days. Silver Star, Purple Heart, POW medal, and a lot more, and very deserving. Next is Air Force retired Colonel Martin Tillman from West Des Moines, B-52 pilot of the Strategic Air Command over Vietnam in 1969 to 72. Came home, served at the Iowa Air National Guard's 132nd Fighter Wing, and flew active duty tours in the Middle East. And our last Grand Marshal this morning, retired Coast Guardsman Victor Tate, served from 74 to 94, worked on icebreakers around the North Pole, served on the U.S. Coast Guard cutter, been tourist on law enforcement patrols around the Aleutian Islands, served at California at an air station, was on the hurricane response team in New Orleans, and is currently works as an outreach coordinator at the VA Medical Regional Office in Des Moines, specialized in assisting soldiers returning from operations enduring freedom and Iraqi freedom. And we thank all of our Grand Marshals very much, congratulate them for their service, and thank them. Also want to thank the Gazing Shrine, and please halt the parade. Stop. There they go. Okay. A very, very special entry in the parade this morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Freedom Bell. It was sponsored by the Spirit of Liberty Foundation out of California. It's a nonprofit whose mission is to provide employment through a company they are establishing. They want to employ disabled combat vets. And on the float this morning is Sergeant Carlos Torres of Irvine, California. He was an infantry scout assigned to the 1st Tank Battalion, 1st Marine Division in Afghanistan. Vehicle hit IED, and he's here with us today with the bell. Also with him this morning are 2 Marines from Company E, 2nd Battalion, 24th Marine Corps, Gunnery Sergeant Ken Curry, and Staff Sergeant Terry Fenton. And now I give the microphone to Governor Branstad, who has brought a proclamation here this morning in honor of the Spirit of Liberty bell.
I have a special proclamation and I'll read. Whereas the Spirit of Liberty Foundation Freedom Bill is now on its 2014 national tour, and whereas the Freedom Bell is on display and available for visitors at the 2014 Iowa State Fair to ring to honor a family member or friend who has or is serving in the armed forces, or just to say thank you to our armed forces. And whereas the Freedom Bell is visiting locations around our nation to increase visibility to the service of our veterans in the war on terror and the effects the war is having on our warriors. And whereas the first Freedom Bell was appropriately cast on June 6, 2013, the 69th anniversary of D-Day, with the full military honors and symbolically contains metal from the 9/11 Twin Towers certified by the New York Fire Commissioner, and whereas the Freedom Bell has the official emblem of each branch of the armed forces embossed and encircling the bell in the order of their founding: Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard, and is inscribed with the words, honoring our armed forces past, present, and future. And whereas on Flag Day, June 14, 2013, the Freedom Bell was unveiled at its first ringing ceremony at historic Independence Hall and has since been placed on the flight deck of the USS Midway and showcased at the 12th anniversary of 9/11 at Arlington National Cemetery for Veterans Day and Remembrance Day at Pearl Harbor. And whereas the Iowa State Fair Veterans Day Parade and other special events recognize and honor all of our state and nation's veterans. Now, therefore, I, Terry E. Branstad, Governor of the state of Iowa, do hereby proclaim today, August 11, 2014, as Spirit of Liberty Foundation Freedom Bell Day. I'm signing this on the 11th day of August.
And the governor is going to ring your bell there, Carlos. After the parade, the bell will be back over here behind me, right in front of the Iowa State Fair flagpole in front of the admin building. We encourage all of you to come by, ring the bell, not in honor of somebody that's serving, has served, or just to thank our veterans. But we'd like to hear that bell clang all afternoon until it gets packed away at 5 o'clock tonight. So thank you very much, and we hope you come by and do that. And I might add, the name of the corporation that is the American Warrior Brands. You can find it under that website, American Warrior Brands, and I think they will send the product to you. So I understand the barbecue sauce is supposed to be pretty good, so there we go. All right, following behind them, Carlos, good job. Marines, thank you very, very much. And that bell weighs about 800 or 900 pounds. Okay, next comes the Iowa chapter of Paralyzed Veterans of America. These veterans have various injuries from spinal cord injuries to disease. We thank them for their service to our country. And returning to our parade this morning, John Schneider, Urbandale's chapter president. Next comes the Story County Freedom Flight. Brett McLean and Renee Tweet are putting that together, but in you know, I think most of you are familiar with the Freedom Flights that have been sponsored by Casey's and Hy-Vee through the years. Other organizations across the state have done that. Story County is doing another one in October and taking those veterans in to Washington, D.C. Great event. Following behind them is the United States Navy Armed Guard. These are veterans of World War II, Arnie Latari, Skipper Lee Nyland, John Russell, and Dr. Ed Hurtko. The Armed Guard were the personnel from the Navy that provide the operational support on the merchant marine ships during World War II. The ships were commanded by merchant mariners, but the Navy did absolutely everything else. So we thank them for their service and thank you for being back with us this morning. And next comes the American Legion Riders from Polk City, American Legion Post 232. Mike Baugh is the commander. And next comes a trailer, it's a float of type, carrying a 12-pounder dog-red boat howitzer used during the Civil War. Roger Shannon and his wife, Carol, have been coming to the fair parade for many, many years. We thank them very much for that. Their daughter Lori's with them, son John, a sergeant in the Iowa Guard, is the driver this morning. And the soldiers on the float are members of the 224th Aviation Support Battalion and Company B, 334th Brigade Support Battalion, Iowa Army National Guard out of Boone. We thank you for your service. Thank you for being with us, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate what you do. Next comes the Iowa Survivor Outreach Services Group. They're an official Army program designed to provide long-term support for surviving members, the family members of fallen soldiers, regardless of the loved one's Army component, duty status, location, manner of death, or even the branch of service. Survivor Outreach Services coordinators are here to provide assistance to you and support you when and as long as you need it. We thank you very much for being with us this morning, all of you. Misty Stumbo and Melinda Stoner are two of the coordinators here locally. We thank them for joining the group this morning and thank you for all that you do. I'll also remind you that in the west atrium of the Jacobson Exhibition Center is the Remembering Our Fallen display of Iowans that have been killed in action since 9/11. Bill Williams from Omaha at Patriot Productions has done an absolutely superb job with that, and I invite you to go down and see it. And next comes the group from Lamar's. Welcome. American Legion Post 241. I can't read the other one. 211 Auxiliary. We thank you very, very much for coming down this morning all the way from Lamar's. Proud veterans of Northwest Iowa. What an outfit. Thank you very, very much for being with us this morning. Talk a little more about them. All the buses still sitting here and they're going down there. That's the Wasser American Legion Post 241 from Mars. Keith Schultz is the commander. Just a number of them. Next comes the Harold E. Smith American Legion Post 54 from Victor. Roger Hopwood is the commander. Jim Desmond, first vice president. Dave Clays, finance officer. Delmer Mayer, the chaplain. Bob Merkel, adjutant. DJ Hadley, executive board member. And other members are Rick Cole, Stu Peterson, Alan Westerbeck, Tom Tice, and Gary Reinhardt. Gary Gensley, Jack Reinhardt, Sharon Hopwood, Linda Kuba, and Jean Blount. Thank you. The next group is the United States Submarine Veterans of Iowa, Pachyderm Base. Jerry Stockbauer from Des Moines is the commander of that organization, along with members of all submarine veterans ranging from World War II and on later. Part of the Steve Chandler is the base commander, and other officers and veterans and spouses are on the trailer this morning.
Down in front.
Are we blocking your camera? Hey! Are we blocking your camera? Okay.
Thank you very much for being with us this morning. And here's these red t-shirts I talked about a while ago, the Wells Fargo Veterans Team Member Network. They are, these people represent the largest chapter nationwide for Wells Fargo. They have over 330 members. They're part of Wells Fargo's. In fact, they're over 10% of Wells Fargo's nationwide membership of the veterans team. So congratulations to you. They're very, very dedicated in helping assisting veterans. They were going up and down the curve this morning. One of their senior vice presidents and two of their key members helped me Friday night get the Freedom Bell up on its legs, and they're going to help me pack it away this afternoon. So we thank you very, very much. I'm Brian. Where's Jeff? Jeff's back here. There's Jeff. Thank you for what you do. They give a lot of their time to the community. They've assisted us at the Iowa Veterans Cemetery west of Des Moines. They assist with the veteran stand down, and they've assisted with feeding of the homeless. So very, very involved. We thank them for all they do. Coming behind them are the restored military vehicles of the American Legion Post 663 in Urbandale. First vehicle is a quarter-ton M38A1 owned by Bobby Torrey, retired Sergeant First Class of the Iowa Army National Guard. Jerry Gipple, a Vietnam veteran, retired, is in there with it. Next vehicle is another M38. Oh, it's an M38, not 38. Merle Grebitz is the owner, again part of 663. Ron Masters is next. Larry Keller is Don Cruikshank in one of these vehicles. There's Don Stedman, our good buddy, in his M38. But now I thank them for being here today, but again, thanks for your service, gentlemen. Thank you very, very much. Coming next from 663 is the first vice commander, John Swan, and Andy Andrews. Welcome, we're glad you're here. Also from 663 is Max Bowman in the white Mustang. And followed behind him in the 1975 Robin Egg Blue Chevy. What a nice car. Wow. Is Harvey Maddox. The walking group following them is the 132nd Fighter Wing, Iowa Air National Guard's family group and airmen. Colonel Mark Chidley is the wing commander. And we thank them very much for being here. This is several years they've done this, and we're very happy to have them. And followed by one of their vehicles. Two horses that are in the parade today is retired Major General Bob Sentman from Tippin. Sometime this week, I think either yesterday or today, is General Sentman's 76th birthday. He's riding atop his horse dressed as a World War I cavalry horse and rider. Interestingly, we're right at the 100th anniversary of the very beginning of World War I in Europe. General Sentman was a traditional soldier in the Iowa Army National Guard, United States Army Reserve. He's a farmer, continues to farm actively. He served a number of leadership positions and served state and nation very, very well and continues to come and participate. Peppy is an American quarter horse. And everything about that operation is absolutely, totally authentic. And we thank him for being here. He carries the colors of Troop I, 113th Cavalry, which was formed in the Iowa Guard in 1926. And in its predecessor, the 1st Iowa Cav was mobilized and went to the Mexican border. The next group is the Iowa Sons and Daughters of Pearl Harbor Survivors. Linda Quigley is the group leader. In the car, I have Leland Lester from Colfax and Clarence Fundeller of Greenfield, who are both Pearl Harbor survivors. We're very thankful you're here. We thank you for your service. You look good in your uniforms. The 1953 Willis Overland M38A1 quarter ton is part of the display collection of the Iowa Gold Star Military Museum at Camp Dodge. Mike Vogt is the curator in driving. His daughter Maddie's on there, I believe, and Larry Ferguson. The 1943 53 3/4 ton Dodge cargo truck is also from the museum. Mike Murphy's the driver, Connor and Reiser's there with him. This vehicle was used during the Korean and Vietnam Wars. And number 49 is the Baldwin-Patterson American Legion Post 274 from Des Moines. Roy Cooley is the commander. Members of that American Legion Post are in the trailer. Following in the continuation with the red Ram pickup, and on there is Roy Cooley, the post commander, and the Polk County commander. Craig Paulson, the State American Legion Squadron commander. Carol Shelton, auxiliary president. Lori Cooley, Polk County auxiliary president. Jerry Gathercole, post chaplain, is with us also on the scooter. Coming down from Forest City is the Family Alliance for Veterans of America, FAVA. Rhonda Jordal is the executive director, Laura Lindsay, executive staff assistant, Jonas White, veterans advocate. This is a group, part of a nationwide organization that literally reaches out and helps our veterans. Counseling, education assistance, all other kinds of things. We're very, very happy that they brought their red, white, and blue convoy down this morning to be part of the Iowa State Fair Veterans Day Parade. Thank you, Rhonda. And I missed John Raggroy. I'm sorry the door was locked by the time I got there. And next up from Davis County in Southern Iowa down to Bloomfield is the Davis County Veterans Affairs Organization. Danny Matthews is the group leader. Eric Prevost, Aaron Bridgman, Russell Harris, Nathan Paulus, Gene Paulus, Bob Blackwell are all veterans, and Bobby McClure is a veteran's widow. Welcome to the fair, and thank you for being with us this morning. And next comes the Military Order of the Purple Heart, Chapter 1979. Platoon Sergeant Bill Campbell, who is one of our Grand Marshals of the Army, Grand Marshal this morning, is the chapter president. Also there is Gene Foster, the Vice Commander, Bob Fisher, an alternate, and Clive Beveridge, welfare officer. Thank you very much.
Okay, Roy.
Tymason, the Commandant of the Iowa Veterans Home at Marshalltown. On board the Iowa Veterans Home Eagle Bus are residents and staff of the home, representing all of Iowa's Veterans Home residents, and they also represent all 5 services. The Iowa Veterans Home cares for veterans and their spouses. It opened in 1887 as the Old Soldiers Home. Today, the Iowa Veterans over 600 residents, over 800 staff members, and hundreds of volunteers and visitors. Their beautiful campus of nearly 150 acres. We invite you to visit them or look them up at iowaveteranshome.org on the web. They're a great organization. They do a lot of good things, and they take care of our veterans at the Iowa Veterans Home. And next comes an emergency response vehicle of the American Red Cross in Des Moines. Jim Braswell is the emergency operations coordinator. This vehicle is used to help them go around servicing those in need, providing meals, snacks to local and national disasters. They provide support for special projects and are part of emergency shelter operations. The American Red Cross and the Iowa Guard and the Iowa-based military reserves have enjoyed a wonderful relationship with mutual support arrangements for many, many years, and we thank them for all that they do to help all of our members. And next up for Ringgold County is the 1957 Alice Chalmers tractor. Dennis Atkinson is the county director down there. Kathy Kilgore is the Veterans Commission chairperson, and Charlie Case is driving the tractor. And next comes the commander's band from the Department of Iowa American Legion. Jim Demarest is the state commander. Also there this morning is Deanna Struble and R.C. Tibbett. Also there this morning is Jim Valentine. Diana Sraddick is the 2014-15 American Legion Auxiliary President. Leroy Sraddick, her husband, is a member of the Sons of the American Legion. Marlene Valentine, Executive Director of the Auxiliary. And her husband, Jim, is a past commander of the Sons of American Veterans. And next from the department, is the Deputy Vice Commander, Ann Groner. Ann Groner and his wife, and Jim Peterson is the department membership chairman. And from the Iowa National Guard and Home Base Iowa. Home Base Iowa is a cornerstone of Governor Branstad's legislative agenda this last year. The next two vehicles are World War II Jeeps from the Veterans of Florida War Post 7064 from Taylor. The first Jeep is owned and driven by World War II veteran Merrill Sargent. It's a 1942 Ford pulling a 75mm pack howitzer that could actually be pulled by horses or manhandled up and down the mountains. From the Veterans of Florida War Post 7064 from Taylor, the first Jeep is owned and driven by World War II veteran Merrill Sargent. It's a 1942 Ford pulling a 75mm pack howitzer that could actually be pulled by horses or manhandled up and down the mountains. Right next to Merrill's VFW Post 2064 Commander Frank, and I'm going to mess this up, Disparos. The second Jeep is also owned by Merrill. It's a 1944 Willys pulling a trailer with the Post 2064 sign, driven by John Howard. The van comes to us from the Warren County Veterans Affairs Office. Kathy Fensterman is the director. John Culbertson is the driver. Kathy and those from Ringgold County and Davis County that were here before, they're actually the tips of the spear, as I like to call them. They are in each of the county courthouses, county seats. They are the person that veterans should go to see about signing up for veterans benefits, other types of assistance that may be available. Following them comes the Des Moines Vet Center. Katina Mox, the team leader. They're in a new location at 22nd University in West Des Moines. Some of the people there are counselors: Michelle Wilson, Michael Brown, Penny Sachs, Tim McCall is the office manager, Dan Edwards and Steve Leonard are both volunteers. And following behind them is the Mobile Vet Center. That comes down from Sioux City, or Cedar Rapids, if I'm not mistaken. And I saw it on University as I was coming early this morning. But the Mobile Vet Center is an outreach center specializing in treatment of war-related injury issues for veterans and family members. With this van, they're able to reach out to underserved veteran populations around the rural areas of Iowa. It's basically a rolling vets center on wheels that offers local counseling service to our veterans. We're very thankful for what they do. We thank you for being with us today. And the next entry comes to us from the Vietnam Veterans of America, Post 667 out of Ottumwa. William Farley is the commander. Thank you, gentlemen. This is your parade. And next comes a 1943 quarter-ton Ford GPW model, owned and restored by retired Chief Warrant Officer Peter Lentz. Peter retired from the United States Army after 22 years of service. Lives in Cummings. The driver this morning is John Rogers, and John's his passenger. Where is she? There's Bob Holliday back there. Thank you, Sergeant Major. We're glad you're here. John's a former member, he was a former Army artillery officer. He came out from Tulsa, Oklahoma to drive the Jeep in the parade. His father, Holden, was a lieutenant. Served in World War II in Germany with Bob Holliday's dad, who was a captain. Good buddies, good friends, and the 561st that the dads remember went ashore at Utah Beach as part of the D-Day landings. We thank them all for their service. Next comes the Middle Pond Retired Community Veterans. Ellie Hoffman is the resident service coordinator, and veterans of their home in Anchorage on the bus and are part of today's activities. We thank them for being here. Next comes the Department of Iowa MVets. Dennis Miller of Vinton is the commander. With him is Don Schellenberg, Dale Purdy, John Gallautier, Lonnie McDonald, Mary Van Horn, Tracy Sellers, Ron Geiger, Kent Buckingham, Cliff Corson, the commander of MVets Post 2 here in Des Moines. We thank them for their service. We thank them for being here, and thanks for what they do for veterans. And next comes Judas Organization, the United States Veterans Affairs Central Iowa Healthcare System of Des Moines. Mindy O'Kane is the group leader. Judith, here on the reviewing stand, is the medical center director. She's doing a great job. Very active, very caring, and very involved. Mark Quick, Mindy O'Kane, Rebecca Jordan, Jessica Carver, Allison Fenton, Maureen Nichols, Caprice Buckcott, Randy Clark, Zach Michaelis, and Glenn Sparks. And following behind them is their mobile clinic stationed out of Des Moines. Currently it travels around the state providing screenings and tests. In the future, it will be outfitted to be a primary clinic, be able to reach out to Iowa veterans out across the way from the several of the two. Hi, Chief. This is a 1945 case stump puller, brought it from American Legion Post 89 at Pella. Cal Van E is the commander. These were built for the engineers assigned to the airborne divisions. They're airdroppable into jungle areas to clear areas to construct airfields. Chief Warrant Officer Ford Don Rhoda of the Iowa Army National Guard is the owner and operator. Don served very faithfully for 37 years. We thank him for his service and all he does. And the next entry comes to us from the Veterans of Foreign War and the American Legion Post in Manning. Alan Mulbauer is the VFW commander, and Russ Moore is the American Legion commander. Neat entry, nice vehicle. Very, very nice. This is used to carry ceremonial team to parades and special events. But very, very nice. A number of their members on board, and we thank them all for coming down and being part of this today. And from the Paddle Wheeler City Club of Burlington, Iowa, is their entry. They actually come out of New London. Pretty neat. Way neat. And the 1952 three-quarter Dodge truck is from American Legion Post 396 in Bondurant. Dwight Morrissey is the commander. The names I've got in there are Jerry McCullough, Bob Coy, Leon Von Stein, Al, Heidi, Bill Jordan, and this was the vehicle that Kendall Mao rode in a lot. Richard Siren is the store manager, and with him is a host of people that work there, employed there. They provide opportunities for veterans, so we thank them all for being with us this morning. I don't know all of these walking at the bass, but I do know Dave Thornburg. Hi, David. Morning. The United States Navy Mobile Riverine Assault Force. Jim Majuris of Des Moines is the assault force, recognizing all those that did those types of duties. Vietnam. Jim is a United States Army Vietnam veteran, later served in the United States Army Reserve, deployed with them, and certainly served in country in Vietnam, so thank you very, very much. He's got his family with him this morning. Nice vehicles. Number 96 is the Korean War Veterans Association, Iowa Tall Corn, Chapter 99 from Anamosa. Herb Spencer's the commander. Don Gildersleeve is the first vice. Jim Konishin is